Welcome back to the second edition of the Bench 7. This week we're covering the weekly roundup. Two big games, Chelsea and Liverpool, and Man City versus Arsenal. I'm Abdul. That's Martin. Let's get
Hey
into
guys.
it.
So this week, let's just go through it. Aston Villa versus Brentford, 1-1 draw. What do you make of that?
Um, Standard Premier League game. One of the many draws this week. I feel like Villa need to pick up quick because they got a team that could be doing a lot better than that. But I think just be more
So,
consistent.
so you say a disappointing performance from Villa. That's where you stand. Is that
Yeah,
right?
look, Brentford have impressed, but Villa have strengthened in the right places, and I feel should be doing a bit better. But again, we're only 3 weeks in, can't judge too much.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now next game, dominant display from Everton, winning 2-0 against Brighton. Um, Calvert-Lewin getting a goal. Um, Very solid performance. Rafa Benitez, he's really shaped this Everton team to start well.
Hmm.
Um, and I think if they keep going on this run with no European football, they could pose a real threat on the top six, I might say. But it really just depends on how they go throughout the rest of the season. Still, 3 weeks in, we can't say too much. I don't think.
Yeah,
So
couldn't
yeah,
have said it better myself. But yeah,
and then another draw with Newcastle Southampton. That was, if anything, I'm going to say that was probably a very interesting game. Um, Newcastle scoring to make it 2-1 in the 91st minute. Then a penalty awarded to Southampton in the 96th minute to make it 2-all. So, what do you make of that?
probably one of the more exciting games of the weekend, to be honest, outside of the main game for this weekend. But yeah, it was enjoyable to watch. I thought Newcastle had it, to be honest. Like there was it 5 minutes to go, but Adam Armstrong, the whole debacle there, and then Ward Prowse steps up, does what he does best, and slots it to the back of the net. I mean,
For South, yeah,
once Ward Prowse puts it on the penalty spot.
or even free kicks, he's by far Southampton's main player. That's will be key in them staying up this season.
Yeah, it was an interesting game. I think more games like that, and it should be make for a fun season. So hopefully we see more of that.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to what I think was a bit of a disappointing performance from Leeds, drawing 1-1 with Burnley. But Burnley, I think it did show their previous game against, or their round one against Liverpool, like they only lost 2-0 there. But this week, drawing against Leeds, and Leeds are somewhat of an impressive team. Like it's for them, I think it's different to say because we're all judging on last season where they were very impressive, and
Yeah,
this season, the fact that they played Man U doesn't help. So it's sort of a bit how you're going in terms of where will they end, because we're kind of unsure because they've had a variety of mixed performances. So we're not 100% sure, or I'm not 100% sure on what this means. So that's definitely going to be a team to keep an eye on because right now there's no definitive spot where they're going to finish. It
yeah.
can vary really. Any other things that you wanted to add on that game, Abdul?
I think it was more about Leeds. I'd say Leeds haven't been Leeds this season. They haven't been the team we fell in love with last season. I feel like they have been slightly disappointing. For a team that scored goals at ease last season, have looked to struggle a little bit to get to score some goals. Given the goal they scored, it wasn't anything of magic. It was more so Patrick Bamford just putting it in with his toe right next to the line, pretty much off. I think it was Ben Mee, if I'm correct. Just almost. It was basically an own goal waiting to happen.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Look,
um,
I'll take it. I'll take it in my fantasy Premier League team. I needed that. I had a bit of a disappointing week between the two of us. I thought I was going to go down, but still somehow managed to stay above you. So I'll take it. I'll take it. Just, I'll take it though.
yeah, it's all right. Still, that's 2 weeks for me. I've won the weeks, and that triple captaincy from week one still holding you up. So
Oh, 100%. I'll take it. 100%. I'll take it.
yeah.
Now moving on to Man U and Wolves. That ended
Mhm.
1-0 there. Greenwood. Um, it's sort of a mixed performance because everyone's more hyped on them signing Cristiano Ronaldo, so there sort of wasn't much focus onto that game. But Greenwood getting that goal crucial because it got him the
Mhm.
point. But
I think, yeah.
the performance and the dynamic of the team will change, I think, from after the international break. Really,
Oh, definitely. I think we saw a Fred disaster class against Wolves. That guy was being run ragged. To be honest with you, he really is showing that. Yeah, they may have signed Cristiano Ronaldo, but the one position they need is a top defensive midfielder
yeah,
because Bruno and Pogba. Honestly, I think if they do sign a proper defensive midfielder, they're going to get unleashed. And I think Man United will be, as much as I hate to say as an Arsenal fan, a force to be reckoned with. As a Liverpool fan yourself as well, we don't want to see them as a force to be reckoned with. But with that defensive midfielder, I think, yeah, they'll go to the next level. But Mason Greenwood showing again why he's considered one of the best youngsters in the league and stepping up when he's being called upon.
yeah, definitely, definitely. So then moving on to, I don't know, a bit of a people are gonna say it's pure luck, especially winning three games all 1-0. And right now I'm specifically talking about Tottenham and Watford. They'd weigh 1-0 against Watford. Um, I think a lot of headlines that we're starting to see are right now them being at the top, unconvincing league leaders. Well, what do you make of that?
Yeah,
Being an
look,
Arsenal fan,
bias aside, I genuinely believe that we can't talk as Arsenal fans, but they do not look convincing at all. I feel like the goal they scored against was it Watford against on the weekend. It was like it looked lucky. It wasn't meant to. It wasn't aimed for the goal. I think the goalkeeper just made a mistake and I forgot to save the ball essentially. But even on the defense, Eric Dyer at the back's looking fairly shaky. They yet to get a proper right back, but I'm hearing Emerson from Barcelona is coming in, so that could fix their problem back there. But they are vulnerable off the ball. If Watford are being able to go at them, and then the week before Wolves, 25 shots, and the week before that, Man City were completely dominant in that game. They still managed to nick all 9 points, but still unconvincing.
you know what? Just for your sake, like if they can keep going, that'll be great.
Trust
Um,
me, no one wants to see Spurs win the league, mate. Please.
look, I don't. But at the same time, I'm seeing you suffer so much. So like, I'm in a bit of a pickle here.
Okay, not a problem.
Um, anyways, Leicester Norwich 2-1 there. Um, Jamie Vardy getting on the score sheet there. What do you make of that?
Standard game, I reckon. I reckon Norwich did enough to stay off the bottom of the table. Scored that crucial goal and pushed Arsenal to the bottom. So yeah, but jokes aside, they yeah they've just signed another centre back as well, which should help their Ozan Kabak, former Liverpool
Yeah,
loanee. He's gone
yeah,
to Norwich on loan with an option to buy.
yeah.
So
That's right. That's right.
yeah, so that could strengthen them at the back. So I think they're going to turn their sights from we're just here for the ride to look, we can survive this time. And I think that's what Norwich needed. They needed a proper defender at the back to help just solidify them that bit more.
Definitely.
Because they had their chances that game. They really could have taken a point at least. If
Oh, 100%, 100%. And I will say that having Kabak, like when we had him last season, I liked him. I was in like my mindset was more so leaning towards sign him. He's a great defender, and then that didn't happen, and he went back, and then we signed Konate. So, like, I personally rate him as a defender. I think he's a great, great addition to Norwich's squad, and if anything, if he can show up as a leader in that team, which I personally think he will be. It's going to be a tough season because he's going to have so many attackers going against him because Norwich, they haven't really been much of an attacking team in the Premier League.
I know what you
Oh,
mean. It's
yeah,
it's no disrespect to Kabak, but starting somewhere at Norwich is probably best for him because the Premier League isn't. It's no joke,
it
and
isn't. It isn't.
learning your craft at the bottom Similar to Van Dijk. Southampton went down the bottom that far, but still were low enough to cop it quite often. And when you learn your craft as a keeper, as a defender, in those type of teams, you really learn how to deal with different types of attacks, constantly having to defend. And then when you do go into a big team that is mainly on the attack, it becomes second nature to you. So I think it's the right spot for him. So hopefully he does well. I like him as a signing as well. I thought he didn't really get his chance too much at Liverpool. I think injuries didn't help if I'm correct. But
Yeah, he will be relied on, 100%. He will be relied on, and the question more so for him is, will he step up to it? And
yeah,
we will see that in the coming weeks after the international break.
yeah. And they also have signed Brendan Williams from Manchester United on loan as well. So a left back.
Oh yes, that's right. I forgot about that. So definitely, they're. I think from what we were saying last week, they're really pushing it for. They're really pushing for it this week, and they're just gonna absolutely go for it.
Yeah,
Why not? They got nothing to lose, really.
yeah. No, I agreed.
So now, this is gonna disappoint you. Man City and Arsenal.
How'd that game go? I heard Arsenal won 3-1, didn't they?
Oh yeah, bro. Yeah, no, copped a 5-0 bang.
Yeah.
Oh, so that result, just going through the Arsenal squad, no Pepe, um, obviously being ill. Would him playing have had an impact on the scoreline itself?
Um, I wouldn't say the scoreline. I probably would have like he's not going to come back, like in the sense of it's not going to affect what happened defensively and the mistakes that
Oh,
happened.
definitely.
But the way we set up it would have obviously been a bit different. I feel like we usually, when we do play that 3-4-3, we play that 3-4-3 with a proper front three. When I say proper front three, I mean a proper striker and two wingers. He decided to play a midfielder and a winger, and like he would, like he usually Aubameyang does play on the left in that formation. Usually he
Yeah,
plays a proper striker down the middle and Pepe on the right or Saka on the right. When you switch that up, it's not going to work. So I do agree. Pepe might have helped in attack. We might have held the ball a bit better. Might have tracked back
yeah,
a bit better. But ultimately, we will never win in that game. So probably not.
yeah. So because I saw that, and he is a key player for you. So definitely a big point to bring up, especially having Aubameyang and was it Lacazette on the bench?
Yeah, Aubameyang. Yeah, Lacazette was on the bench that game. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So then another addition, and the return of Martin Odegaard. Uh, what do you make of his performance in his return to Arsenal?
I mean, with what, the 9% of the ball in the second half, or the 19% we had in the whole game.
Or just his work ethic, really. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, we can't judge on possession, but I really think that work ethic wise, especially him being very young, um, addition to the team, I think it's a step forward for you guys.
Hmm.
Because just with his creative display, um, he does have a mindset in which can get you quite a few goals, and we even saw it from last season. I think he will be very key for you.
Yeah.
Um, but just on that game itself, like I know there wasn't much to be very happy about, but on his individual performance, what do you think?
Yeah. Look, in the first 5 minutes, 7 minutes of the game where we actually looked really good, he did look key in that him and Smith Rowe driving with the ball forward, getting in between the lines. He the position he plays is a dying breed, that traditional number 10. So he
Oh,
is
definitely.
yeah, he is adapting to that work rate. He's adapting. He's got a work rate and a good one as well. And you know what? For 30 million, I'm happy with it. I feel like it was. You can't say it was a good first game. We didn't see enough of it. Well, let's just say his first Premier League game hopefully will be against Norwich. So let's just pretend this game didn't happen for him. Yeah,
Definitely. I think that's how personally I think that's how you guys should see it as well. Because 3 weeks in, you had Brentford, Chelsea, and Man City.
mm,
That is a very tough start, in my opinion.
yeah,
If you're
I'm
playing
sure.
two of the title contenders,
Yeah,
in weeks 2 and 3. Obviously, didn't help losing to Brentford, but there wasn't much that you could have expected in terms of points, in my opinion.
Oh, agreed. I think we were looking at 3 of 4 of the first 9 points, and that was pushing it. And then you got to remember Brentford first time in the league in 75 years, new stadium, everything. Like the story was written for them to win that game, and I know we should be winning as the club that we are, but the story was just
Oh,
them losing wouldn't have been right.
it's an underdog story, that one.
Yeah,
It's a real
and
underdog story.
again, I say that season starts next week.
Oh, after the international break, yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Because it's against Norwich, so we'll see how you guys go. You guys should. This is where you guys should really be expecting the points in terms of, or if Mikel wants to keep his job. From what we were reading and talking about last week, they were saying how what was it, the first 5 games, or sorry, 5 games from Man City.
Yeah.
So really now 1 game done, another 4 to go.
I mean, look, he might be joining everyone in Sydney at the line to send a link to claim that 750 a week. So yeah. So
Jesus.
but
Yeah,
if he's, yeah, look, at the end of the day, I think that the 6-0 Norwich game during the week was a bit of a, what's the right
West
word?
Brom. You mean West Brom? Yeah,
Sorry, yeah, West Brom, my bad. It was a bit of a cover up in a sense. Like you played a depleted West Brom team, you beat them 6-0. I'm pretty sure Norwich won 4-0 against whoever they played as well. So a lot of the teams
yeah,
that were in the
definitely.
Premier League pulled up. And on that point as well, I do think that it was not a good game to judge who you're going to play
Oh,
on
definitely,
the weekend.
definitely. So, which brings
Yeah,
me to my final question. So obviously looking at the possession stats throughout the game and after the game, with it being 81% going to Man City at full time, but the second half itself was 90%, 91%.
yeah,
Um, then so let's compare that 18 or no, sorry, 19% possession for Arsenal, comparing that to the team and the tactics that was set up. Do you find the oh, contrast, sorry, another example of Mikel's inexperience, sorry.
yes, because he set out the team with Emil Smith Rowe, who is out and out midfielder. He can play wide, but his strength comes through the middle. Martin Odegaard is a number 10. Bukayo Saka, who isn't a Pepe in a sense of he'll drive with the ball. He's more so he can create. So can Pepe, but I wouldn't consider him. That's what do you call it? Like a Mohamed Salah or a Sadio Mane. He's not
Oh,
an inside
definitely.
forward. He's more of a wide creator.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I can definitely agree on that.
And we've seen that in the Euros. We've seen that for Arsenal. He creates a lot of chances, a lot of goals. Not necessarily assists, but he's a pass before the pass a lot of the time. So that's his role in our team. And then you're playing Aubameyang down the middle.
Yeah,
So he wanted to play a counter-attacking formation, which meant the back three that he played, which was Kalashnikov, Holding, and Chambers, who, in my opinion, not all three of them struggle with passing the ball at their feet. So to start
compared
with,
to the more experienced players that you have in Gabriel, and then the players you did have beforehand, like David Luiz. So
definitely,
it's definitely a big difference in quality there.
I'd even go as far to say as Pablo Mari, as disappointing as he has been in the first 2 weeks, probably would have been a better choice than Kalashnikov. He can pass the ball at his feet. He plays on the left side. Um, he's a bit more, what do you call it, experienced. He's 27, 28 as well.
Yeah,
So it would have done the job there. But my problem isn't at the back. My problem is the way he's set up in front of that back five. Aubameyang, we know in a 3-4-3 is best deployed off the left
yeah,
with Kieran Tierney behind him, the passing, the running, the tracking back. When he does have Kieran Tierney behind him, it means that he doesn't have to track back as much, knowing that Kieran is always getting there. Lacazette playing as a striker will usually occupy that Bobby Firmino style role where he comes back and defends, comes back and links up the play, comes back and gets the ball from deep and drives. Ideally, you would like Pepe on the right, and then Saka somewhere around there, maybe at right wing back. He got the team selection completely wrong, if you ask me. I feel like he's played a possession style team in a counter attacking formation, which was against Manchester City of all teams going to fail.
Yeah, but in saying that, you're saying the team has gone all wrong. Um, but then also there were quite a few, or there still are quite a few out with injuries. So I think the main part we should be at, like really waiting for them to come back is the defense
Yeah,
in Gabriel. Like he's going to be crucial for you guys.
yeah. And he's just played 45 minutes in under 23's game. So he's
He should be
looking.
back.
He should be back for Norwich. Ben White should be back for Norwich. Partey will be back for Norwich.
Ben White as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Lokonga should have started. See, in regards to that City game, he had Albert Sambi Lokonga, who he's bought for 18 million in the window, sitting on the bench, who would have slotted in and played that role with Xhaka perfectly. But we all know Xhaka as a sole lying midfielder is never a good thing.
Um, just quickly before we wrap up, Granit Xhaka, the red card. Oh, what do you think?
I mean, did you see the one with Paul Pogba
When?
against Wolves? Studs up into the shins.
Yeah, I
What happened? He pulled out the yellow card.
look
Granit Xhaka,
referees.
he even pulled out his yellow card before he pulled out his red card. Then noticed, oh, Granit Xhaka made the tackle. Let me just give him a red card. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it wasn't reckless. It was reckless, but I just want to see consistency. Xhaka's one. He went 2-footed into the challenge. Never a good idea. It went,
Yeah,
3 feet off the ground and straight.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, I think in sense of him as a member of the team, he should have been a bit smarter in thinking, like going down a man against Man City. It's not really the smartest decision.
look. At the end of the day, like I said before, our season starts next week. You're gonna have your two preferred centre backs back. You're gonna have
Yeah.
a partnership in the midfield that I think should carry us this season. As much as I love Granit Xhaka and the grittiness he brings to this side, Albert Sambi Lokonga and Partey could be a partnership for
Yeah.
like honestly, it could be a force. I'm not saying we're going to finish anywhere near a top 3-4 position, but that partnership, the way I've seen both play, I'd love to see them play together. It could be
Oh,
a very
definitely.
yeah. And
Yeah,
then
definitely.
Smith Rowe Odegaard ahead of them. Hopefully, Aubameyang with the service he'll have behind him then should hopefully pick up form. If not, we've got players waiting in the wings. You've got players
Yeah,
like Pepe. Yeah.
yeah. It's more so saying the season starts next week, really,
Yeah.
because in 3 games, 2 very tough ones, and then a disappointing one for you guys. Now the big game of the week, the match of the round, very crucial, and it was very dramatic. Liverpool versus Chelsea, 1-1 draw. Um, Before we go on, I think best way to put it, that first half and second half were 2 very different games. That's
Yes.
just my honest opinion.
Yeah.
First half was very open, could have gone anywhere, whereas that second half it was more so Chelsea with exceptional substitutions at halftime. I think bringing on Thiago Silva, it really like bolstered their defense, and it just showed that they can really defend for their lives. Because
Yeah.
Liverpool for the whole 45 minutes of the second half, they were just absolutely going for it, chance after chance, and then we were even pushing Van Dijk up to a point, and then where we had Matip at the back, on his own, yeah, and on that alone, Matip had a very impressive performance. But before we jump there, the penalty, um, the penalty and the red card. What do
Yeah.
you think?
Um. Look, it was a penalty. I agree, but I do believe that he didn't intentionally try to stop the ball with his hand. There's a difference. I
Oh,
feel like
I get you. Yeah,
yeah, I feel like it should have been a yellow and a penalty. I feel like a little hard done by, but I can understand. It was a goal. His hand isn't there. It's a goal.
Yeah.
He's
See, for me, I'm also on the side. I am on the side that the red card it had to go hand in hand with the penalty,
yeah,
literally hand in hand. But in saying that, obviously it wasn't deliberate. But then in saying that, it did hit his hand on the goal line. Um, so in saying that, I do think a lot of people are looking at it this way, saying that the referee only looked at it for like half a second and then awarded the red card. Um, on that, I do think that this should be added that he did have the other officials, talking into his ear. So obviously he would have had a decision there. But I understand the red card. Um, Very unfortunate because Reece James has been very impressive. He's had a very impressive start to the season. Um, so it's going to be interesting to see how they pull up against after the international break. Um, but in saying that, Salah's penalty, I think that was a relief. Oh, for me, it was a relief. I was so stressed out. I was so stressed out. But
not
the
gonna
first
lie.
half was very open.
The thing of beauty watching that guy take penalties. It's just like with such force. He just like so like you got your Paul Pogba's who take up their little like jiggle, and there's the
Yeah,
Neymar, Salah's messing around, take
yeah.
three
No
four
mucking
steps.
around there. He's 3-4 steps, lines up, goes for it, bangs it. It was a clear penalty.
Yeah,
Um, Now with the second half, so obviously touching on that a little before, we were saying that Chelsea were parking the bus, but it showed that Tuchel deserved that Coach of the Year award that he got last week by UEFA. That's
yeah,
in my opinion.
yeah. I'll be honest with you. That was the game that after that final whistle happened, and I'm like, yeah. And it took a bit out of me as an Arsenal supporter. I'm like, okay, Chelsea are the real deal. Like these guys have just taken it to the next level. They didn't just survive. They're going for it with 10 men.
Yeah, like they even had a couple of attacks in that second half, which was very impressive because only it was Lukaku and who was it they had? They replaced Havertz for
I think
Silva.
Kante came off for
Yeah,
Kovacic,
yeah, that's
and
right. Yeah,
that says a lot. If you've taken out the best box to box midfielder off the game, he's come off injured, and you've brought on Kovacic, who's just a proper centre mid. If you ask me, like a proper, he's another box to box, but he's no Kante.
but Kovacic, I do think is more of an attacking player.
Yeah, he's similar to Thiago. The role that Thiago plays for Liverpool, he kind of can be relied on in attack as well, but can play that defensive box to box role if needed as well. So, yeah,
Oh,
look,
definitely.
I think that Chelsea like played a different game to what they played against Arsenal the week before. I feel like
Oh, definitely. They were taking the piss.
yeah, like they just held the ball to the end of the one against Arsenal, whereas against Liverpool, they sat back, they tried to hit on the counter, then they ended up scoring off a set piece off a corner. And then even when they had 10 men, they got to a point where they were holding the ball outside your box. Like they were
They
trying to
were.
go, they were going for it with 10 men. And you know what? Praise to Tuchel and praise to that Chelsea team because it's newfound respect for me. I can finally say that, okay, I think they're past their honeymoon stage, as I like to call it, with their coach. Yeah, the Champions League win might have been a bit like
Controversial, let's say.
controversial, yeah. But now I can say, okay, these guys have built a team, and they're looking a whole different monster. They're a giant now.
Their squad is very impressive. Um, yeah, like they're gonna be going deep. Or I think they're gonna be going deep into both competitions, Champions League and Premier League.
Yeah,
But you touched on it as well when Chelsea had a chance of attack. Now with this game, everyone was talking about Van Dijk and Matip. Sorry, Van Dijk and Lukaku.
yeah,
Um, that little battle there. But I I personally I think this was a performance from Joel Matip that was very, very dominant. He had Lukaku in his back pocket. Um,
I don't.
Yeah,
Big
oh,
words there. Big words.
look, I think that he allowed Van Dijk to just have the freedom of having the ball and stuff, and he just covered Lukaku. Lukaku kept very quiet. I think he only registered one shot throughout the game, one or two, but very minimal. And they weren't like big shots or anything.
Mm.
Um, they weren't like sitters or anything like that. So I think that his Matip's performance, it showed that Liverpool weren't just missing Van Dijk last season; they were also missing Joel Matip.
Here's my
I
question:
Yeah,
Van Dijk being out for the season. Okay, if you were able to keep a back two of Joe Gomez and Joel Matip for that whole season, do things change?
two things change.
Do things change?
Do
Do
things
you?
change?
Yeah.
Personally, I think maybe in the tactics of it all,
Mhm.
but in terms of who's going to be the leader in defense, I think that goes to Joel Matip.
Agree.
He's a big guy. And I think after that performance against Lukaku, I will say, um, it sort of showed the rest of the world that he is a crucial player in Liverpool's defense.
Yeah.
Um, he kept Lukaku at bay. Like the there was times when Van Dijk was even pushing up, and we were um only having Matip at the back as the last man, and he wasn't. It looked like that he was having the game of his life. He wasn't sweating one bit, and then I think it was a shame to only concede off a corner, but I think that was a team mistake there, not marking Havertz there. Impressive header,
Yeah. I was
very
gonna
very
say
impressive header.
top header.
Yeah. The question can be, did he mean it? I don't know, but I don't know, but it was definitely a banger. And it was when I saw that, I was like, there's not much that could have been done there. It dipped perfectly just under the crossbar and into the side netting.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and it was very very elite finish. Um, so with another player that I want to touch on, Harvey Elliott and
Yeah.
and another Chelsea player, Mendy. So
Mm.
we'll go through Mendy first. In terms of goalkeeping performances, that was brilliant in my opinion.
Six.
He just went for it. How many saves was it?
Six brilliant saves. To be honest, like it's yeah. Without
Yeah,
him, yeah, honestly, could have been a whole different story.
yeah. It could have
But
been a bit of a run right that one.
yeah, he's starting to prove his worth. I think he's got more than what was it, 27 clean sheets in like 48 games or whatever it was. If I'm, don't hold me accountable for the stat, but it's in and around that. He's got more than a 50% clean sheet rate. Like it's, I think that's better check numbers if you ask me.
Oh yeah, very very impressive, and I think it shows the right decision to sign. And I think that was Lampard that signed him, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's another Lampard signing that Tuchel has pounced upon. But look, Tuchel's it's a whole different monster. Like in the sense of tactician, man manager, like what else could we call this guy? I used to call him Klopp's little brother, but maybe Klopp is Tuchel's
All the
little.
big words.
Oof. Nah, look, it's respect to both of them, but I think Tuchel's starting to hit his straps, and it's different to how like Pep and Klopp have come about. It feels I don't know like something's happening.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Yeah,
Um, so also I think, oh, the final thing that I really want to mention, Harvey Elliott, for an 18-year-old, he really played a massive part. Or for me, he played a massive part in that game on the weekend. He was moving the ball around. He was dribbling through a lot, creating a lot of chances, um, allowing he's allowing everyone to have shots. Um, honestly, for an 18-year-old, and to, let's say, really replace Genie,
Yeah,
that was a big performance. Very impressive, in my
yeah.
opinion.
I think he's more than just Genie's replacement. I personally think,
I, I think that too.
as an outsider, he could be the start of something new.
He
Not
could
quoting High
be
School
what
Musical
we
there, but
Jesus, Jesus. He
but
could be
yeah,
what we've been missing from last season before the injuries. Like you know how everyone's really talking about that attacking player that Liverpool don't really have after we lost Coutinho,
yeah,
and then obviously having a mix from Genie, um, Henderson, all the players really playing a big role in that in the midfield. Being an Ox when he's fit, um, Harvey Elliott, he showed a lot of potential there, and I'm very happy about it. And in terms of the transfer season for Liverpool, I'm happy with how it is. I'm happy to play out the season how it is and just see how it goes. Really,
yeah. I wouldn't say I agree with that last point, but I think Harvey Elliott is representing something I think Liverpool need, which we'll touch on a bit later. A proper number 10. And I think we're starting to see, and we saw even with Trent creeping up into the midfield, being that supporting midfielder with him, and it happened 2 or 3 times I saw him during that game. It looked a whole new Liverpool. There was threat down the middle more than just threat constantly down the sides, with having it to go from Fabinho to Trent, Trent to Salah, and then Salah to shoot. It's yeah,
yeah. The like literally everyone was having shots. We even saw Henderson whipping the curler. Oh, very unlike. Like I was, to be honest, when that was happening, I was thinking he was gonna bang it because
yeah,
big game, big game player, captain. Oh, just very unfortunate. Um, and then Thiago as well. So he came on. Um, I think he should have come on earlier. I think if
yeah,
we had more minutes with him on, it would have been a bit different because he
mm,
definitely brings a different creative aspect to the game in terms of he doesn't keep the ball for more than 3 touches. So he's very tiki taka style player. Um,
yeah,
yeah. So in terms of that, I think he should have come on earlier. That would have made a massive impact in my opinion.
mm.
Um, because in the last 5 minutes or from when he came on, we did hit a point where Chelsea were rattled by the balls he was playing.
Yeah. I think he should have started. To be honest with you. There were times where Henderson was getting in positions, I think, and if you were to play, if Elliot was in Henderson's position, and then Thiago was, I wouldn't say starting, but in the positions that Henderson was getting into an attack, so the times he was getting into the box, and you had Thiago sitting back where Henderson was, where he's meant to start, different game. Like you're not expecting Henderson to split leg above his foot, get the ball, and then put it down to shoot. So he's not that flexible. So I do think that yeah, maybe Thiago does need to start from here on, given Fabinho's a lone CDM, and Fabinho's strong enough to be that lone CDM as well. Thiago partners him really well, but that's I think week to week with Liverpool, depending who you play, that's probably depends there. But yeah, uh, yeah, I think that's about it in terms for that game.
Yeah, I honestly I've got nothing else to add on that. Was there anything that you wanted to touch on?
Um, Probably nah, not too much. I think that where what's the word? It's a dawn. It's an age of a new dawn or dawn of a new age, whatever that phrase is with Chelsea. I think we
Yeah,
always
I think
thought that
yeah,
Liverpool and Man City would be the two.
but now they've shown that it's a three,
It's a three, possibly a four.
possibly a
So
four.
yeah,
Now with Ronaldo and stuff, so it's sort of more like it, it's gonna be crazy from the international break, and especially now with what are the points looking like now? Man City. So Man City on 6, Liverpool, Chelsea on 7, and Man U.
Spurs.
Oh, with Tottenham on the top, but Man U, Chelsea, Liverpool. Yeah, I've got it here. Man U, Chelsea, Liverpool on 7, and Man City on 6.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to get juicy for the next few rounds up until the next big one is City versus Chelsea. I think,
Yeah,
which will be
that's
in like a month's
game week.
time or something.
Yeah, game week 6. Look, Spurs do play Chelsea the week before, but Spurs we don't really care about So
Look, they're top of the table, and Harry Kane's staying, so
hey, look, if you flip the table around, Arsenal are on top, mate.
Spurs on the bottom in that sense. Oh Jesus! But
It's a
no, we're
North
looking at
London sandwich.
oh Jesus. But yeah, in terms of that, I think that covers the weekly roundup. Thank you all for listening, and we will be back after the international break for some more. Take care, guys.